Peace, power, and love. Humam Abdulmalik once again with Blackanized report. Other side of Black reporter, Malik and Malik. Man, this is the 18th day of our global boycott of racism, murder, tyranny of all European nations, locally, nationally, and internationally. Man, kind of upset today. Not upset, just in a dismayed state of mind, man. It's like, what are we doing in our communities? Allowing stuff to go on in our communities, like out of control, like people that lost their soul and really under robot control, and the young predators or whoever doing these things in our communities, killing innocent people for no reason. The reason is out of season. Man, it's a hurtful thing when we trying to deal with a whole perspective or paradigm of being controlled and by those with no soul and those that's in control, and through social engineer, through the racism and the bigotry and all that. We're trying to deal with them, and in our house we got people running crazy, man. Doing things that unnecessarily, man, it's real hurtful. And we allowing it in our community. We allow it because we ain't doing nothing about it. We depending on a system that's irregular in their duties, because their objectives are not really to protect us in the sense of being protectors of the community. Their duties is to control us, and if we do something, to put us in captivity, being servant, indentured service, slaves in the penitentiary, or whatever you want to call it, jails for profit or business. They are warehouses for business or whatever, human business, where humans are put in for servitude, and it's a business now. Prisons for profits and all that, and we always looking for answers, how to deal with our problem. Our problem is, excuse me, I said peace, I said power, and those things. I just want to express my love and concern for all my brothers and sisters on the planet, that we have to. Man, it's hard. It's very hard when we got a natural enemy, and while we're dealing with this natural enemy, we become our own enemy, and it's not supposed to be like that. Not at all. We are not supposed to allow what's going on in our communities to be going on in our communities like that. And we're in the communities that know who's doing that. I'm not one to say, take the $25,000 and and all that, and I'm not the one to be all I'm a snitch, the snitch and all that. I ain't about telling the police and all that. I'm not about that. What I'm about the people. I'm about us controlling our community. I'm about us taking care of our issues in our community, controlling our community. Because I'm not one I ain't gonna be half-stepping. If I know I'm dealing with a racist system, I'm not going to say it's not racism. It's not racist in one area and unracist in the other area. It's an institutionalized racism that exists, and I'm not part of that. I'm against that, and I ain't going to parlay my anything with them. I can live in harmony with them because I'm on a different frequency, vibration, and energy rate or level. I'm on a divine mission. In my divinity, I'm not like straddling no fence. I've done that before in my life when I was younger. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm on the pathway of my ancestors by divine decree in African Black spirituality. That is my reality, and I'm not, in like cahoots with nobody. I'm not like gonna deal with putting my people in harm's way, but I'm in the motion of dealing with it in the people's tribunal. We, the people of our community, we got to control what's going on in our community. We know who doing what because somebody's sleeping with these people, or they got to change their mind, their heart, and if they don't, then conditions must change for them. It's in the Quran that Allah doesn't change the conditions of a people until they change that which is in their heart. So if we can't reach their minds and heart, then we got to reach them. We got to confront them, not in a confrontational way, but we have to confront them in a loving manner. And we got to deal with it, man. Man, it is terrible. It's hurtful. 3 young girls, man, within 300 and something days, man, lost their life. Mothers, could have been mothers, could have been no matter. I mean, we don't know how many children they could have brought into life. Could have been doctors, lawyers, scientists, or whatever, man, but their life was taken for, being in an environment where they should have been safe at. And they can't be on the playground, out in front of their houses or whatever. You can't even come out your door. And what I seen on this video thing, that the movie camera or whatever that took pictures of this car that came up in this community and just opened the door and got out 4 doors and just started shooting around. Haphazardly. No target, just shooting around, man. What was the purpose? What is the purpose? And the people be talking about beasts. Come on, man. We got to change the language. If you don't change the language in your mind, this program in your head going to have you mentally dead and going to have you killing people. And it got to stop, man. We're already in a war, in this silent war that's socially engineered within you to be a predator like you're doing, man. You got to stop that. We got to stop it in the community. We got to be our protectors of the community. And the funny thing about it, those people our people that are involved in that are got to be the ones to stop it, because they're the ones that are doing it. Does that make sense? Because nobody else is going to be able to stop it. It got to derive from us to touch them in order to stop it. But we must be the ones that protect our communities and the guardians of our community. This can't keep happening in our communities. And people talking about jobs, programs, the band, and whatever. They got to stop it. Don't stop it, man. It's evident how many years that this been going on, And the people in the church and the people in the mass here. I mean, only one coming in the community that I see is a couple of AMC members, councilman, Trayon White. They be in the community, and the NOI and FOI. They be in the community. Union Temple be in the community. But we got to be in the community more. We got to go more in depth. We got to go more in detail of what we doing in the community. Like people detail cars and they clean it up. That's what we have to do. We have to detail our community. We have to detail our community in a way of purification. Because all the activities going on in our community is making our community worse, man. It's making worse and better for the enemy to implement their plans. Because if we ain't unifying and just dying, I mean, what sense does it make as a people? As a people that, people use the term hurt people. Man, it's a good saying and all that. Might have some relevancy to it. But if we ain't doing nothing about it, we are enjoying ourselves every day or every other whatever. in the things that we do and how we live our life. And then when something happens, we are up in the uproar or whatever. We have to operate on this sickness and this illness in our bodies. It's our body. It's our people that's doing this. It so seems that, we got to confront it. On this 18th day of our world boycott against racism, tyranny, and murder, the self-infliction has to stop. Self-inflicted genocide is just like suicide. And you riding around high and going through what you're going through. Whoever did that, I know they're going through some mental things right now and how they're going to deal with that. Because what you have done, you have affected somebody else. Then they want to get a gun and show retribution. And that's how it keep going on, a domino effect like that. And people be talking about beasts and all this, beasts of land from years and all that. We got to overcome that, man. I don't know what to say about the situation, about all these young warriors and young predators and this and that who be running around doing these things. And, is it the drugs, or is it, they can't read, or that their home life is messed up, or whatever it is. We got to feel the pulse rate and deal with it. We got to doctor this because it's our people that's suffering from this attack, this social attack, this eternal illness. We must do this immediately. It got to stop because it's affecting generations. It ain't just for that particular person. The potential of that person to bring other people in the world. That's 3 young ladies within 300-something days, man. Not counting the other men or brothers or whatever, grandmothers or whatever, all the other people, all the ladies. I'm just talking about here in Southeast Washington, Northeast Washington, Northwest. I'm talking about Washington, D.C. Used to be Chocolate City. Now we got all these other people, so-called millennials and all that, coming in our communities, taking over the communities, because we're allowing it, man. We're not in unity. We're not a community. We're not a neighborhood anymore. We're too individualistic instead of coming together in a communal way and holding on to our properties and stuff like that and controlling our communities. We got to really deal with a 10,000 fearless or 3,000 fearless. We really got to go into the community, door to door. We have to speak to our young brothers who, in that mentality, that psychotic mentality of being a predator, wanting to be a baller or gangster or thug, being socially engineered to take lives like it ain't nothing, man. Like it's fun, like it's funny. And I know they got to be drinking and be getting high because the mentality of them got to be off, man. It got to. They're out of control. They don't even have no control in what they're doing. And we got to stop it. We got to stop it. As black men, black sisters, church, masjid, synagogue, all that got to come together across the board, man. It ain't prayer. Prayer without action ain't nothing, man. It's nothing. Prayer has to be proactive. You can pray and don't have no action behind it. Nothing ain't going to fall out the sky. How many prayers have been unheard, man? All these killings and these shooting, because, like I said, prayer without no action is like just talking to yourself. We have to put our hands on our situations, not only our minds. Not saying that prayer don't work. I'm saying that prayer with action, being proactive behind that prayer, is the greatest prayer that can be answered, that will be answered, because what you're praying to is yourself. The energy of the Creator is in you, in us, in the temple. So we ain't going to look for some outside force to do something, to come down and or come in or whatever, to do anything when we are right here. We're the source to generate peace and harmony in our communities. We are that. The Creator give us that power to be that, but we have to be proactive. We got to come out of the mindset, man. We become our nature. We're going against our nature. We acting like a genome primate. That is what we're acting like. We're not acting like human beings. We're acting like we are kin to the animals, to the dog family or something like that. That's what we're acting like. We ain't dealing with our spiritual essence, our divine essence, because we ain't taking time to purify ourselves. And that's what we got to do. We got to purify ourselves by development, spiritual development, by our character and personality. We have to develop that in a divine way, in a spiritual way, in knowing who we are and dealing with ourselves and collectively, not individualistically through selfishness, arrogance, and egotistical, like we got the answers. We got to come together and put this puzzle together. This puzzle of peace, harmony, and love, and self-healing, and all that. We got to come together and control our communities. We just can't sit by and go to work every day and enjoy ourselves on the weekend. That's all we do. Is that how we are programmed to do? We make our money so we become self-sufficient to have the nice house, the nice car, and we this and we that, the nice clothes and all that, and we just overlook our problems, the social ills that's going on in our community, and then on the weekends we go have fun. We got to find the why of this situation and put our hand on it, man. We got to go talk to these people, man. We know who they are. And now, because somebody's sleeping next to the persons or people that's doing this stuff, we got to find the why. Is it a conspiracy from the system through gentrification and all that? We just searching for answers. We know the answers, man. The answer is that we are not controlling our communities. We're allowing anything and everything to happen in our community. We're not organized in a fashion that we are being manipulated, and we're allowing these young warriors, young predators to become that without reaching out to them, talking to them. And they're acting like animals and they have a disposition, like animals. Because nobody's showing them love, man. And we got to do that because it's affecting us. It's affecting us when we have already a situation what we got to deal with. We got to deal with being ourselves, being in harmony with ourselves, being the entity of the Creator here on earth. The energy of the Creator that's in the temple. We got to apply that in our life. And we got to control our community. We got to control our community, love our community, as though everybody in the community is family, man. It takes a village to raise a family. Now, people out here hurting, man. I know this family is hurting. And then the other families that things like this occur, they are hurting. It takes time to get over that, to suffer a loss like that, a young life like that. Somebody that haven't even lived, man, that was a special part of the family. Man, I know the fathers and the mothers and the cousins and all this, they ready to go get retaliation and retribution and all that. I ain't going to say the solution. The solution is the people of the community. And the people who done that, if you don't feel nothing, then what can you say about yourself when you look in the mirror, man? You can't hide behind the hide, or you can't hide behind your mentality of insanity or whatever. It takes, you can't be, what I seen yesterday, it ain't even make no sense. You didn't even have a target. If you're just trying to put fear in the community, You should have shot up in the air. You know, just shooting everywhere haphazardly. You didn't care. You didn't have no love, no nothing in your heart, man. None of y'all. It was for y'all. Y'all need to, anything, turn yourselves in or whatever, or come to the people. We need to establish a people tribunal to deal with situations like that. We got to. If we're not going to deal with the enemy, we got to be the people that we deal with. We have to deal with us, and we have to establish laws and parameters of how we're going to deal with situations like this. We got to do that if we're going to control our communities. There's no other way, man. There's no other way. This is the age of Aquarius, where this energy, this divine energy is here. If we ain't tapped into the energy on one side, then it's going to be we on the other side. What side are you going to be on? The side of life or the side of death? We're in control of that. The people who have their soul and personalities and characters and spirits intact, we have to come together and deal with facts. How we going to deal with this is we're going to be in cahoots with the system. If we say the system is really the problem with the racism and the gentrification and all this, what they do, and the social engineering and white supremacy and white privilege, and do you deal with your enemy to alleviate your problems, or do you establish and build and develop your internal self and collectively come together and we deal with our problems, man? We know that's the big picture. We know about the Europeans and all that. That's the big picture. We already in motion on the 18th day of our boycott worldwide. It's going to be an ongoing boycott. But we have to establish some laws of an infrastructure of black people, sincere black people, to deal with our situation, man. We know that what occurred ain't right. We got why is it occurred? And you know, the language is like the beefs and all that, and I gotta eat. All that is played out, man. All that is a reprogram in the minds and the psychics of the people that's doing it. It's a program. It's a negative program because they haven't relearned or rethought the process or the data that they're taking in of feeding into their psychic, into their computer. So whatever you put in your computer is going to come out in word, actions, or deeds. Don't you see it? All this shooting haphazardly and how they're doing it is their humanity has left their soul. We have to somehow or the other grab them and bring them back and make them whole. And we got to deal with the problem from our perspective. That's if we're going to deal with establishing infrastructure in the land, in our communities. That's if we're going to take over our communities. Our children shouldn't have to live in fear. Our elders shouldn't have to live in fear. Our community should be safe, but we have to make it that way. See, the police is a job. They doing 8 hours, 12-hour shifts. And when they doing their shift, where are they doing them at? And I can see police setting off in the back somewhere and not doing nothing but holding conversation. 2 vehicles. And a group of them just talking. I done seen this numerous times in Ward 8. But we pay our tax money for these people who are slave catchers to protect us, to stop crime, to prevent crime. And that ain't no prevention of crime. We are better preventers of crime than they are because we're in the midst of it. We're in the cesspool. We live in the cesspool. And we know who doing what. But we ain't of the mindset. We ain't informers and agent provocateurs and snitchers. We are protectors and guardians of our community in a way that we should be. We're not going to deal with our enemy. We're dealing with a border where we want peace and harmony in our communities, but we got to establish that. We have to establish it. If we don't, then what are we doing? Why are we here? Why are we here? Just to have fun? Is this the legacy of black people during this day and time? Is this our legacy? To just fun? While people are dying, youth are dying. That's generations that's being killed in one bullet, man. For nothing. An innocent young girl. And the other people that's shot. Anybody that gets shot for no reason is treason. And we're allowing it in our community. It must stop, and we must stop it. Our enemy ain't not going to stop it. Our enemy is our enemy. Those who work for our enemy, I'm not going to say they're our enemy because there's a livelihood with them, but their mentality, they have a mentality of an enemy when they become like an enemy, like a Negro pen, and their actions are worse than the enemy, the genome primate, because of whatever they're programming their mind in their computer. But those of righteous persuasion, those who have taken control of their soul and become into the divine light and energy of the creator in our ancestors, and the knowledge and the perception and all that, and revolutionary and all that. I'm talking about everybody. I'm talking about we got to come together, a body of people, and we got to go put our hand on the pulse of what's going on and really do something about it. Because every day, it don't go, 24 hours don't go past with somebody else shot. It got to stop. If we think that caravans of cars going to do it, we think going on the basketball court with them suits on going to do it, or the go-go bands or this or the jobs going to do it, and it's not doing it, then we got to do it another way. We got to come together to that table and say, this is how we're going to do it. And it got to be done that way. No matter what anybody say, we got to take total control of our communities as the people of the community, as black men and women, to save our children, save our elders, protect them, make them feel safe. This day and time, I mean, it's at a point that it's at a point that we got to take extreme measures. And we got to do it collectively, because we got to have the okay of the elders. We got to have the okay to deal with our social ills, our problems in the way that we need to deal with it. We got to collectively go into an ancestral type trance or whatever and come back from that table and move forward and say no more, no more. Enough is enough, and we got to be serious about that. We got to live on that. We got to put our life on that. We got to live without laws. We got to establish laws, and we got to live by those laws. And DC, we got to be that example. We got to set the example, man. All over the country, we had the Bloods and the Crips come together and stop what they was doing. We got the MS-13 now, they out of hand or whatever, but everybody got to come together in their own communities and take control. This boycott is about that, man. This boycott is, we know our natural enemy, the genome primate, the racism and the white supremacy and all that. We know that. We know their objective with the orange-haired man and all that. Their objective, we know. We know that. We got to save ourselves from ourselves. We fighting on two fronts now, and we got to deal with this front so we can put all our power into developing this infrastructure against this racist white supremacy society. But we got to stop what's going on in our communities now. So my thoughts are my thoughts, but my thoughts can't be individual. My thoughts got to be from a collective, and it got to be coming from the elders. It got to be coming from the community leaders. It got to become from those people that's, I'll say, in the system also, because a lot of them ANC or whatever, they be in the trenches. More so, sometimes it be more the women than the men. They be out there. I give shout out to a couple of the sisters that's out there, but I ain't even gonna call their names. They know who they are. And brothers too be out there in the trenches all the time. But we can do better. We got to do better because this is senseless, man. It's very, very senseless because we're allowing it to happen. We can stop it. We got to nip it. It should have been nipped it in the bud, but see, it's generation after generation after generation. Because we are letting, what they say, beefs, the mentality, that's a reprogramming in people's psyches. Man, that beef what we had with the man, that ain't over. Man, it's over. I understand that the retaliation or retribution of somebody's daughter being killed, I know that how I would be. I know that how I'm going to be or would be or whatever. But we can't keep doing that because we're hurting ourselves. We got to have a platform we deal from as a group, as a total group. I mean, I'm talking about here in D.C., we doing that and generating, being an example of that. I'm talking about here in Ward 8 and Ward 7, we develop that and be the example that spread across the nation, spread across the world, and we meet up and we take black the world, man. But we got to clean up. We got to, this thing they talking about purge, we need a purge too, not that racist stuff that they talking about, that they trying to, put in your mind and your psychic, and all these other things that they try to do through mass mind control and brainwashing and all that. We got to block all that interference, the frequencies that they putting out, the frequencies and the distorted vibrations and all that they doing through their social engineering and social programming. We have to do this, man, millennia ago. We playing catch up, and it's a shame, but this is the name of the game, that we got to come together and we got to do what they ain't going to do. This ain't no job to us. We live in our communities, man. We hurt. Look at the community over there. They're hurting, man. They're over there scratching their head and families getting together. I know the brothers or whatever, the men of that family, man, we're going to get this, we're going to get that. That's when it never stopped. But if we have an entity in place that don't even let that happen, man. My daughter even said that like this. They came up in the community and did all that and backed out of the community with nothing. I mean, not saying that they should have, I'm saying they shouldn't have never got out of that community like that if somebody was in there controlling the community, protecting the community. That's what I'm saying. And whatever would have happened because they shouldn't have let that happen. They shouldn't have came up in the community and just did what they did, man. I mean, that is like insanity. No target, they're shooting haphazardly everywhere. If you're trying to make a statement about the community, ain't nothing wrong with the air. Shooting up in the air and then jumping in your car and getting out. People just say, man, they crazy. But you came and you shot haphazardly and you killed somebody, a young girl, man. How do you feel? How can you sleep with yourself? How did you sleep last night? See, you can't hide behind the drugs and the highs and all that. And you can't lay down and mess with some woman and try to have sex it off and all that, or drink it off or hide off and all that. Because what you did is for eternity, man. Somebody ain't going to be here. A young person is not going to be here because of your thinking. You're being under robot control. You're not being in touch with your divine self. You not, man, you young brothers, man, you young warriors, man, got to get in touch with your divine self, that energy of the creator that's in you, and come out this program that you're in, man, because you're hurting us. You're hurting generations of us. And it got to stop. And it's going to stop. It's going to stop. I'm willing to stop. I'm going to put my living on the line to stop it. And I ain't going to say I'm going to be by myself, but I will act on myself, upon myself, or whatever, some way or the other. Because I'm a protector of my community, of my youth, of my elders. I love all of them because they me. They're part of me. And we connected that way in our communities. We already got a problem we dealing with, man. Why you have to be part of the problem? You should be part of the solution. Don't you know it hurts, man? Don't you know we got people hurting? You probably hurting. You probably scratching your head saying, oh man, oh man. So you wouldn't be in that activity, then you wouldn't have to be going through what you're going through, what you're trying to do now. Medicate, you try to block it out or something. Or if you're not, then you really a predator and they really got you, man. Your enemy got you and you don't even know it. Don't even know it, man. And it's not only you, the four that did that yesterday, but all the young predators, man. You better get something on your mind and your heart, man. You got to change your thinking. You got to change your thinking. You got to change your everything about what you do, man. In this last days, man, is our generation. This is our time in this day and time here. While the energy of the Lord and our ancestors is shining down on us and is giving us the protection that we need. All you have to do is just get into it. Just tap into it. Just sometimes listen to what you're saying and doing, man. Reflect. Look in the mirror. How can you live with yourself when you done killed a young girl, man? Somebody could have had children. Somebody who could have been a scientist, a doctor or something, man. Somebody, you destroyed her love, man. Somebody loved that girl and she loved somebody. You didn't cut off that connection. How you feel about that? Now, here go the kicker. Suppose that was your daughter. Suppose that was your sister. I want to say salamu alaikum, namaste, hotep, to Ryan, true blood, Ituro, salamu alaikum to Ituri, Muhammad, Marcelo de Pisa, Habib Kanan, salam alaikum. You know, I told you Ali Moody is home, Pamela Smears, and my brother. This brother got a heck of a business going on. The giant, and the other person is Gus Oglesby. I'd like to say thank y'all all for tuning in. And I'd like to say we all got to be part of the purification of our community, the protection of our community. In this day and time, we got to take extra step, extra measures to be protectors and guardians of our communities. And I want to say to the young brothers who have become predators in our community for whatever reason, old beefs, new beefs, drugs, women, or whatever, is not necessary. And you can't live your life that way, man, because you're hurting our people, you're hurting our race, and you're a part of it. You're hurting yourself. And they have all this in this quagmire, deceptive maze that they have established for us. This is how they want you to be, man. They want you to hurt people, then you'll get hurt, or if you don't get hurt, you're going to go onto their plantation where you're going to be just a living dead, man. You're going to be there just taking up space and growing old, man, and being in an unnatural state. That's what they want. That's why they building jails like this. That's why they put all this drugs in our community. That's why they put all these guns in our community. They do all that and have us attacking and hurting ourselves, and then they hurt us on the other side of things, kidnapping our women and taking body parts, or whoever, taking the body parts and dumbing down our children in the schools and all that. That, you know, it got to stop, but you got to help it. If you don't help it, you're going to be part of the problem, and we're going to be solving our problems. And I'm putting it out, and I'm willing it out, that we got to solve our problems. To what extent, that depends on you. And this is in love. This is not a threat. This is a fact that we're going to start protecting our community. And we don't have no other choice, man. There's no other choice for us to Well, I'll speak for myself. I don't have another choice. I don't have any other choices. But I know I'm not the only one thinking like this. Because there's 10,000 feelings that think like this. There's 3,000 feelings that think like this. There's the NOI, the FOI, there's the Union Temple, and the brother Jeremiah Wright, but he's not in our locale. But that mentality that we got so many people that think like I think, but we got to come to the table and we got to act. We got to enact the laws that we're going to deal with in our communities as the people's army or the army of the creator or whatever we want to call it. But it has to be done because what's happening in our community should be shunned. You got to be the one who shuns it first. The young predator who pulled the trigger of that gun, taking lives, man, for nothing, no reason. A beef that's 10 or 15, 20 years old, or some girl or some drugs and this and that, it's not worth it. You can't put that on life, man. Life has a much greater value than what you placing on it. You living in fear, man, get some love. You got to find some true love, man. I don't know if you can find it in the masjid, the church, the synagogue. You got to get in touch with yourself, with your reality of the creator, man. Because if you don't, you're going to keep being this beast. You took on the nature of the beast, the nature of your enemy, and don't even know it. Your enemy love for what you to do in your community, running around killing and shooting and all that. They love it. So as long as you're doing that, they know you can't deal with them, your real enemy. So get a grip on yourself, man, and be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Be a peacemaker, not a peace breaker. We need you on our side, but we solving problems now. We about solutions now. We about solutions now. We're not about allowing the problems to continue now. Because we got an issue now. It's not you, it's them, our natural enemy. But don't you be part of that. Man, we love you. We love each and every one of you. But you got to love yourself. You got to reach out if you want to, be out of that. Reach out. Let people know you ain't got to be a predator. You ain't got to be an animal. You can be a human being. You have a family, an extended family. Know that. Know that there's love. We have love for you, man. I love you. But you got to stop what you're doing, man. You're hurting people, man. You're part of the domino effect of self-destruction. Self-genocide is just like suicide. And you're riding high in that mentality, man. You and who are all the young brothers, not only locally, but nationally and globally. That's what our boycott is about. That activity that's being socially engineered by these masters of mass mind control and all that. We got to fight a foe greater than you. You're not our foe. Come into the fold of love, man, and peace and harmony. On this 18th day of World Boycott against racism, tyranny, and murder of our natural enemy of the genome primate. This is Blackanized report. You can let us know what or how you're dealing with this situation with the hashtag Black People's Kemetic Boycott Ham Pound, so we can know what we're doing, our progress. And also, let's be strong, man. We got to reach out to these young predators, man, and reach out to them. The ones that know who's doing it, them your son's daughter, boyfriend, husband, or whatever you want to call it. You got to reach out to them and help save him from himself or herself or whatever. You got to change the mind in order to change the heart. This is the time to do it. It's our time to rise and shine. We can't straddle the fence. I'm not with our enemy. I'm with us as the people. I can deal with this system the way I deal with it, because I'm not breaking no laws, because I'm dealing with divine laws. My laws are much greater than man laws, because man laws are fraudulent laws, and we got to know that these laws are against us. But when you practice divine laws, your laws are much greater than their laws, because your laws keep you in a confinement of not breaking laws. You ain't no criminal. You ain't none of that. You're a divine, energetic being that's here on the planet, helping us to develop in a divine way on the pathway of our ancestors. And in love, and in peace, and in harmony, we do this. And all these organizations and all that got to find the solution, and we know the solution. We got to implement the solution. The only way to solve the problem. Confrontation, but not confrontational. Confront with love and understanding of the divine nature of who we are as a people. We have to change the mind and change the thoughts of the people. Like our Islamic brothers, or one of the signs of the Quran, where it says, the law says that you, or it only changes the condition. It changes the conditions of those who change their thinking or change their heart. That's the only way that your conditions will change. If you change your thinking, change your heart. Your heart and your mind is two entities that have minds that do thinking, that how you feel emotionally, how you do things rationally. If you don't change those two glands in your body, then you ain't going to change. You're going to be controlled. You're going to be like a robot, and you don't want that. Blackanized report, once again, with peace, power, and love. And let's do that with some peace and black power and black love. Let's show that. Let's be that all day long.